Have you ever watched someone's world fall apart in slow motion? I have. In fact, I orchestrated it. Right now, I'm sitting in my parked car across from La Blanc, the most expensive restaurant in town. Through the large windows, I can see my wife, Jessica, sitting with her lover, Howard. She's wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary last month. The irony isn't lost on me. Her laughter floats across the restaurant, practiced and perfect, just like the lie she's been living. I check my phone, 8:15 p.m. Everything is set in motion. Soon, her carefully constructed house of cards will come crashing down. But for now, I watch. Jessica looks stunning tonight, she always does when she's meeting him. Her dark hair falls in soft waves, catching the warm restaurant lighting. She's smiling that special smile I thought was only for me. Howard leans in close, probably whispering something clever. His expensive watch catches the light, a gift from his wife, though Jessica doesn't know about her, not yet. My finger hovers over the send button. The message is simple: enjoy this evening because it will be over soon. I watch as her phone buzzes on the table. Did you see that? The slight flinch, the momentary crack in her perfect facade. She reads the message, and I see the first flicker of fear in her eyes. Howard doesn't notice, he's too busy being charming, too caught up in his own web of lies to see the tremor in Jessica's hand as she sets down her phone. He has no idea that his world is about to implode too. At a table not far from them sit Jessica's relatives, her uncle, cousin, and sister. They haven't said a word, haven't even looked at her directly, but they're there for a reason, all part of my plan. I send another message: did you really think no one would find out about this? Jessica's mask slips a little more. She glances around nervously, her wine glass shaking slightly as she brings it to her lips. The evening has barely begun, and already she's unraveling, just as I planned. You see, revenge isn't about dramatic confrontations or heated arguments. Real revenge is watching someone drown in their own lies, one carefully orchestrated moment at a time. And tonight I'm going to teach my wife exactly what happens when you mistake my patience for weakness. Want to know how this all started? How I discovered their affair? And most importantly, how I planned the perfect revenge that would destroy not just their relationship but their entire worlds. Let me tell you how I let my cheating wife think she was safe and then revealed everything. Let me take you back to where it all began, the moment that shattered my trust and set this revenge plan in motion. It started with a scent. 1 month ago, Jessica came home late from what she called a dinner with friends. The clock read 11:45 p.m., and something was different. When she leaned in to kiss me goodnight, I caught it, an unfamiliar cologne, expensive and distinctly masculine, Hermes, if I'm not mistaken. I know because I'd considered buying it once, but I hadn't. And that scent lingered on my wife's clothes. Most men would have exploded right there, demanded answers, created a scene. But I'm not most men. 20 years in corporate law taught me one thing: patience reveals what emotion conceals. So I said nothing, just returned her kiss and watched as she disappeared into our bathroom. That night, I lay awake, my mind racing. 6 years of marriage, countless promises, dreams of starting a family, all potentially undone by a scent that didn't belong. But instead of confrontation, I chose observation. And oh, what a performance I witnessed over the next few weeks. Jessica thought she was being clever. She deleted her messages, took calls in another room, always kept her phone face down. But she missed the small details, like how she'd smile at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, the way she started dressing up for client meetings that never appeared in her work calendar, the extra hour at the gym that her fitness app never recorded. I started keeping a log. Tuesday, 7 p.m., dinner with Sarah. But Sarah posted pictures at a family dinner across town. From Friday, 2 p.m., client meeting, yet her office confirmed no meetings were scheduled. Little lies piling up like evidence in a case I never wanted to build. Then came the credit card statements: Le Blanc restaurant, uptown boutiques, a hotel bar, all during times she was supposedly elsewhere. Each discovery was a knife twist, but I maintained my composure, played the role of the trusting husband perfectly. I hired a private investigator, not because I needed proof, but because I needed details. Howard's name came up within days, a corporate lawyer like myself, but with a reputation for taking risks. Married, I discovered, to a real estate mogul's daughter. He had more to lose than Jessica knew. The betrayal hurt, yes, but it also awakened something in me, a cold, calculating precision I usually reserved for my most complex cases. As I gathered evidence, a plan began to form, not just to expose their affair, but to dismantle their entire world in one perfectly orchestrated evening. They wanted to play games. Fine. I'd show them what a real player could do. Mike. Jessica's voice interrupted my planning one evening. Everything okay? You seem distant lately. I smiled the same way she smiled at her secret messages. Everything's perfect, I replied, and soon it would be. Because revenge, like justice, is best served cold. The hardest part wasn't finding out about the affair, it was pretending I didn't know. For weeks, I perfected the role of the oblivious husband while setting up the pieces of my revenge like a chess master. I knew timing would be everything. First, I reached out to Jessica's family. Her uncle James had been like a father to her since her parents passed. I invited him for coffee one morning, bringing a thick manila envelope with me. I wish I didn't have to show you this, I said, sliding photos across the table. Jessica and Howard entering hotels, restaurant receipts, text message logs. Her uncle's hands trembled as he examined each piece of evidence. She's following her mother's footsteps, he muttered, his voice thick with disappointment. Jessica's mother had destroyed their family with an affair years ago. History was repeating itself. I need your help, I told him, not to save our marriage, that's beyond saving, but to teach her actions have consequences. I laid out my plan, watching his expression shift from anger to understanding. Her uncle made the calls. Within hours, Jessica's closest family members were on board, her sister Emma, her cousin David, and his wife. They understood their roles perfectly, no confrontation, no drama, just their presence at LeBlanc tonight, their silent judgment more devastating than any words. Next came Howard's wife, Scarlett. That was trickier. I didn't approach her directly, instead, I anonymously sent evidence of not just his affair with Jessica, but 3 others. Charlotte, I discovered, controlled the purse strings in their marriage. Howard's lifestyle, his career, everything depended on her family's connections. The day before the restaurant scene, I visited our apartment's leasing office. Being the sole name on the lease had its advantages. Within an hour, I had termination papers in hand, effective immediately. The property manager was sympathetic, especially after I mentioned infidelity. That evening, I watched Jessica pack an overnight bag. Business trip tomorrow? I asked casually. Just dinner with clients, she lied smoothly. Don't wait up. I pulled her close, kissed her forehead. Wear that black dress I bought you. I suggested you look beautiful in it. She smiled, guilt and excitement dancing in her eyes. Good idea. As she walked away, I sent the final text confirming dinner reservations at LeBlanc, 2 tables, one for the lovers, one for her family. Then I called the moving company. They'd arrive tomorrow morning to collect the boxes. Everything was set. Tomorrow, Jessica would learn that sometimes the most brutal revenge isn't dealt in anger, but in silence. The stage was set, the actors were in place. Now it was time to watch the show begin. I watched through the restaurant window as Jessica checked her phone for the 100th time. Her perfectly manicured fingers trembled slightly. The first message I sent made her whole body stiffen. The truth always comes out, doesn't it? Howard was mid-telling some story about his latest court victory. He had no idea his own wife was about to destroy him. The second message hit Jessica's phone. Look to your left. Family always comes first, remember? I saw the exact moment she noticed them, her Uncle James, Sister Emma, Cousin David, and his wife all sitting 3 tables away, their faces masks of disappointment. The wine glass in Jessica's hand shook so badly she had to set it down. Everything okay, beautiful? Howard asked, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. A third message buzzed. Did you really think no one would find out about the hotel meetings? Jessica's face went pale. She glanced at her family again, but they deliberately looked away. The silence was more devastating than any screaming match could have been. The restaurant's ambient noise seemed to mock the tension, clinking glasses. Casual laughter while Jessica's world began to crumble, piece by carefully arranged piece. Then Howard's phone buzzed. The message from his wife was simple: check your email. I want you home in 20 minutes. I watched his face change as he opened his inbox. Photos, hotel receipts, messages, not just with Jessica, but with all his other mistresses. His perfectly crafted lie was unraveling. I have to go, Howard stammered, already standing. The confident lawyer was gone, replaced by a panicked man about to lose everything. Jessica reached for his hand, confusion and fear mixing in her eyes. Howard, wait. But he was already throwing cash on the table, not even looking at her as he practically ran from the restaurant. My next message made her phone light up. Looks like your knight in shining armor just abandoned ship. Jessica's family stood up in unison, their chairs scraping against the floor. They walked past her table slowly, each one's silence cutting deeper than words ever could. Her sister Emma paused briefly, placing a small envelope beside Jessica's wine glass. Inside was a photo of Jessica and Howard I'd given them, caught in an embrace outside that expensive hotel. The final message I sent made her hands shake so badly she almost dropped her phone. Don't bother coming home, your boxes are packed. Through the window, I watched as reality crashed down around her. The beautiful mask she'd worn for months cracked completely. She tried calling Howard straight to voicemail. His number was already blocked. Tears streaked her perfect makeup as she fumbled with her purse, barely able to sign the check. I sent one last text before driving away: the lease is terminated. You have until tomorrow to collect your things. As I pulled away from the restaurant, I caught a glimpse of her in my rearview mirror, the strong, confident woman who thought she could play me for a fool, now broken and alone. The perfect revenge isn't served hot with anger and violence, it's served ice cold with precision and patience. And mine was absolute zero.